Hey everybody, welcome into an all-new episode of the Demo Series presented by Stats Perform. I'm your host, Mike Leon. With each episode in this series, we take a look at a product or service here at Stats Perform that can help your business in a multitude of ways. Now, today's demo I'm really excited about because it's around our SmartRatings product, this phenomenal fan engagement tool we have here at Stats Perform that is unlike anything out there in the marketplace. It really helps your front and back end deliver game excitement ratings, headlines, and messages to help drive fan engagement with your platform. Joining me in this demo today is Senior Product Lead over at Stats Perform, my buddy Brian Ziebelman. Brian, welcome to the demo series.
Thanks for having me, Mike. Really excited to be here.
So Brian, SmartRatings. I mean, how smart is this thing, right? Why don't you take our audience a little bit inside what the SmartRatings product is overall and how it works?
Yeah, thanks, Mike. It's very smart. Much smarter than me. SmartRatings solves the problem of content discovery. There's so much happening in sports, even within each game. How do producers, programmers, content managers put the right action in front of their audience, not just after the game, but in the game? And how do they do it when they have a whole slate of games going on simultaneously? Stats Reform has always led the way in event and play-by-play data, but now we can tell you not only what happened, but why you should care about it. It's extremely scalable, works across games, sports, leagues, all types of events. It means your audience will not miss a moment that matters, whether they are a fan of the team or a fan of the player or just a fan of sports.
I mean, it sounds really great. You know, it's so funny that you mentioned that because there's so much sports happening right now as we're recording this. We're deep into March Madness. You got the MLB season upcoming. Obviously, the NFL draft is soon. NBA and NHL playoffs are kicking off in a few weeks or so. So why don't we take our audience inside how this SmartRatings property actually works?
Yeah, Mike, like you said, we got a lot going on in sports right now. We got March Madness, NBA season coming to a head. As you can see here, we got a full slate of games today. But to really show off the power of SmartRatings in a full game environment, let me flip back to yesterday. And I look at the slate from yesterday, and first game that pops up, some really exciting games in hockey and basketball. As I jump to the Warriors-Mavericks game, right on the left here, you can see our excitement rating. At the game level, we do a 0 to 100 rating. This game was a 94. And over here on the right, you can see our headline, our neutral headline for the game. We do headlines pre-game, post-game, and live throughout the game, and we give that in different perspectives as well. As I do the drop down here, you can really start to see the excitement throughout the game. Here's that game excitement and how it developed throughout the game. You can see it started here as a 72 and kept going up. Each of these blue bubbles indicates a different alert that we could have sent out at different thresholds. So the game really started to pick up as the game went on. And then this graph will change depending on which perspective I show. So with SmartRatings, we give it for a neutral fan. We give it for a fan of the away team. Here's the Warriors here, and a fan of the home team, the Mavericks. So you can see the graph really start to change here and ebb and flow depending on the excitement for each team. In addition, you probably saw that this headline changed as well. This headline gives a perspective for the fans. For example, for a neutral fan, you want to hear about Luka Doncic, who had an amazing game. Or a Dallas fan, you're going to want something similar. Warriors fans, well, they're going to want to hear about Steph Curry, who had a great game as well, just not quite as good as Luka. Over here on the right, you see our player level excitement ratings. Luka led the way as an 88. Jaden Hardy had a really good game, and Draymond Green had a defensive gem. And we have our play level excitement rating. So each play is given that same excitement threshold, a neutral, home, and away. And as you can see, if I change it, those excitements change depending on which perspective you want. Crazy times, including one of the greatest upsets in NCAA history with Purdue falling to Fairleigh Dickinson. Here is kind of how we looked at the game as a post-game recap. As you can see, we have it as a 95, an amazing upset, and really succinctly just talk about the biggest story of the game, which is number one Purdue, the top seeded team in the tournament, falling to a 16 seed play-in team. As I load the window down here, you can see how we engaged fans and how that graph kind of looks. As a neutral fan, started out on the lower side. Again, 1 versus 16. We're not expecting this to be the game of the tournament, but it turned out to be one of the best games here. You can see we engaged our audiences at 3 different intervals. This is just samples of what we can send out as an alert. So this was an alert at the 75 alert threshold, 85 and 95 would have came in these different parts. So we would have engaged our audiences at the 75 threshold at about 2:34 in the first half. And then with about 30 seconds left in the first half at the 85, things really started to get good. And then the 95 threshold, just under 3 minutes left in the game. As I show the different perspectives, you can kind of see the different audiences. First, we'll start with the team that lost and that was upset. Again, fairly normal game, a little more interest because you're a Purdue fan. And we peaked at 100 just before the first half as things got interesting. Second half, nail biter the whole way. You can really see for a Purdue audience that it was high excitement throughout the second half and then dipped very little at the end because you kind of knew what the inevitable was going to happen there. For Fairleigh Dickinson, same type of graph, just slightly different, and really stayed at 100 through the whole game because, again, for them, weren't expected to be in this game. Highly exciting for any fan of theirs that this game was even close, and then even more so that they pulled off the victory. So you can kind of see the excitement difference there. And their alert thresholds, you have an 85 because they are already above the 75 to start the game, to care for it. It's an NCAA tournament team. Both teams highly interested, or both fan bases highly interested in it. And then you have a 95 and even 100 threshold there. So we hit the 100 fan for the fan perspective there as well. Great to point out the other sports. And since we're built on best in class Opta data, we do soccer better than anyone else. We have the most detail and able to build a really robust platform here on top of that Opta data. As you can see here, an 89 for a neutral fan, 2-1, you got a goal in the 92nd minute to give Barcelona the win. Just a really impactful game as I drop down the screen here and we get to see the ebbs and flows for the neutral fan. For El Clasico, you can see we already predicted it to be exciting from the start. A little slow in the first half, but things really picked up in the second half. You can see some individual player excitement ratings on the right, and I'll flip over to that game-winning goal was a perfect 100 for the match. As I go between the two teams, we'll start with Real Madrid here to start. You can see, first half, a little better from an excitement ebb and flow than the second half, but we did have that peak excitement here in halfway through the second half. And then for Barcelona, you see a slow first half for them, game not quite as exciting, and then a huge peak toward right before halftime and carried through the second half there.
I mean, that is really incredible stuff to see, Brian. So appreciate you taking us through the SmartRatings dashboard. And for the audience out there watching, that dashboard is just really showing you how powerful SmartRatings' API is, right? How the data, the excitement rating, the headline that's generated that Brian showed you there, it can be used in a multitude of ways. If you're a digital broadcaster out there driving push notifications and trying to get more engagement within your sports apps, fantasy publications, I mean, even sports books to alert their customers of what exciting games to watch, what plays or players were the most exciting in the game, and more. Really cool stuff. So Brian, appreciate you walking us through the SmartRatings dashboard there.
Thanks, Mike. Always fun to show off the cool things that Stats Reform is doing with AI and NLG. Really, really fun to show it off.
Yeah, for sure. And if you want to find out more information about SmartRatings or some of the other products and services that you've seen here on the demo series, head to statsperform.com today and get in touch with one of our specialists. Find out how you can get a demonstration of this product or service. For Brian Ziebelman, I am Mike Leon. Thanks so much for watching the demo series. We'll see you next time.